I'm trying something a little bit different. Reception is what's important. Don't care about the views, it's the reception. I believe I can bring a lot to Marvel Rivals, as you know, my analytical approach. Because as always, the channel philosophy is that games are a little bit more fun when you're doing a little bit better and you know what's going on. So let me know what you think. Today I have an in-depth guide of Groot, and I have a feeling that there's some things in here you might not have seen. There's deadly combos and a play loop. I believe he's one of the best tanks in the game, hands down. I have some basic stuff and advanced stuff in here. I'm very excited about this one, so let's get into it. I play on controller. I'm going to talk about M&K2. First, we have the Vine Strike, his normal attack. Left click mouse, right trigger controller. It deals 70 damage and has a 20-meter range. A 0.7 second delay between each shot. It isn't hit scan, but the projectile speed isn't bad. Like the furthest range of 20 meters, you need to lead just a little bit. Not bad at all. And 70, it's a great number. And you've been seeing at base how long it takes. And the squishier characters, you need 4 shots to land, 280 damage. You're seeing how long it takes, but ideally, you're going to be up in the front lines. You're going to be brawling a little bit with Groot. Not all the time, but you will be. So the first thing is adding in the base melee. He has a combo with this base melee. That is right stick click in for controller, V for M and K. The first 2 melees deal 30 damage and they can reach 3 meters. And the last melee deals 50. It can reach 4 meters. And this part of the combo also is going to launch them up slightly. So when you're close, you want to alternate them. Right trigger melee, right trigger melee, right trigger melee. R and M and K, left click V, left click V. There's some animation cancel. The DPS goes way up. And you see the difference between your base primary attack and then doing the primary melee combo. So whenever you're brawling, stalking enemies down, you want to be doing this combination because the combo is 70 30 70 30 70 for 270, and higher health targets you just keep the combo going, but there's a lot more. Next, let's get into his walls, and here's where we start to look at Groot differently and approach walls differently, how to actually use them. First, I want to talk about the Ironwood wall. This is the big one. Target a location, you grow an Ironwood wall. When the wall is awakened, damage dealt by Groot or nearby allies grants Groot bonus health. So to cast it, E, M, and K, right bumper controller. It's got an 8-second cooldown. It's got a 10-meter cast distance, 700 health. It's a beefy wall. And that brings us to his passive, Flora Colossus. Wooden walls near Groot will awaken, activating an extra effect. Right-click while building a wooden wall to continue building additional walls. This passive has a 20-meter radius and a height of 40 meters. And you see it on the ground, this little green circle around you. Be within 20 meters, this circle, your walls awaken. And with the Ironwood wall, when you or your allies deal damage, it gives you 40 bonus health per second and up to 250 bonus health. Groot currently has a base of 850, and it will with the team up, Jeff or Rocket. If not, it's 700 health. But right now, team up or not, you get the 850, so it's a total of 1100 health. When you don't have that team up and it goes away, you're gonna have 950 total health. But here's something you need to know about this wall. This wall and all walls work through objects, meaning what you want to do is place this one in a safe area. When I see this wall being used, it's defensive, it's out in the middle. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is place this wall in a safe area, like right here. You can place it next to a wall, and honestly, a lot of stuff clips, like this one's clipping through stuff. You only see just a little bit of it, but as I'm walking away and I turn the corner, I'm still 20 meters away from it. These bots are getting hits, you're getting health. And remember, it's you or your allies dealing damage while you're inside that 20 meters of your wall. As long as they're awakened, you're gonna get it. This wall's in a safe area. Everyone's dealing damage, you get to the 1100 health like every fight. And hopefully you have healing behind you. Hopefully you're being pocketed a little bit. I'll talk about that later. Getting constant health from the wall on top of the healers keeping you healthy with that extra health. So offense, defense, a zone, whatever. You're gonna put it in a spot that's off to the side. When you do that literally, and I mean literally, no one on the enemy team cares about it. They're not conditioned to care about it, because all they've ever seen is this thing go up right in front of them in the middle of the map as an obstacle and they shoot it down. But on top of that, it's 700 health. Like I've noticed no one really wants to take the time to take it out. So if you're just putting off to the side anyway, in a safe location, it's gonna be good. And you'll see in a lot of the gameplay, as we're attacking an objective or defending, a lot of the maps have little rooms. Just place it in a room and walk around. But next with the wall, it has a rebuild. So you press the same button, E on M and K, right bumper on controller. Whenever you do that, while the wall's up, it's like this little gold color. But whenever you press it again, it despawns the wall. And it starts a 5-second cooldown. It doesn't matter where you are. You press that button again, it despawns the wall wherever you put it, starts the cooldown. So the full play loop is to place it in a random safe area, behind a wall, in little rooms, that's close to the area that you're about to fight at. Place it up against a wall while you're defending, because again, no one cares about it. If you're on offense, go up a little bit, place the wall, the payload's gonna go by it, you're just gonna be within 20 meters. You work that area, you work the payload, you advance it. As you're advancing it, maybe you guys got a team wipe, whatever. You despawn the wall. You're moving up with the payload, you go forward, you set it up again. Another spot down the road. You're getting tons of extra health for free, unless they go out and find your wall, which they won't. Next is the Thornlash wall. This is the most important part of Groot's kit. There's a lot of moving parts. I'm going to keep building on it as I go. There's a ton of combos and things that you can do. And again, we're going to look at walls a little bit differently. It's shift on M and K, left bumper controller. You tap it once, he puts his arms in the air, it gives you the distance. With this one, target the location. When awakened, it strikes nearby enemies attacked by Groot and his allies. It can go out 15 meters. It has 250 health. You get 2 charges, and max on the field is 3. They have a 6-second timer, so if you have 2 down, another one comes up, you can place a third. It has a 5-meter attack distance. When either you or an ally deals damage, an enemy walks by it, they're within 5 meters, it attacks them for 60. It deals 60 damage every half second. These walls up DPS drastically, because now, if you land a primary attack for 70, this deals 60, that's 130. And if you're able to get multiple walls on an enemy, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you're going to hit them with an attack, like right here, 70, then 60-60, just insane pressure. Instant damage. You can angle the walls if you want, play a little Fortnite, place walls above you. Maybe there's an Iron Man. You can start walling off the ceiling as you're moving forward. And real quick before I move on, there's a little trick you can do if the situation ever comes up. You can throw a double wall. This is going to spend both of your charges, but to do this, you get out the wall, look directly at the ground, just straight down. Hold forward, you jump as you're holding forward, and place it. For whatever reason, it drops both walls when you do this, and I've had people chasing me. There's different elevations. You throw it out. Like right here. I wanted to get down to zone. I wanted to slow down this Hulk a little bit. There's an elevation change. I threw it down, and it worked. So it's there if you want. A pretty cool little tech. But back to this wall. The main combination you're going to run is this. It involves a spore bomb. We haven't talked about it yet. Right click for M and K, left trigger controller. There's a 5-meter radius that it goes out. There's no impact damage, but it deals 55 damage, and the little spores that come after the explosion deal 10 damage. This is on a 6-second cooldown. Your main combination, your bread and butter, your opening, one that you use frequently, and in the gameplay, you're going to see me a lot just like this. Groot with his hands in the air. You're going to see me ready to have walls built. All the time I'm doing this, because I'm looking to place my walls in specific areas. What you want to do is get that wall behind them, and the combo is place the wall, throw the bomb, primary attack. One after the other after the other. Place wall, throw bomb. If you're far away, your primary attack goes 20 meters out. This wall can only go 15. You can use this wall as a backboard if you want. Place wall, throw spore bomb into wall, primary attack. This combo is pretty instant. Place wall, throw bomb, primary. Like a quick 185 damage. And when you follow up with another primary attack for 70, that's 255, and that's a squishy kill. And sometimes a little damage from the spore bomb can damage them. But when you put a wall behind them, like a backboard, also remember you're blocking their healers. A big part of this is you need to remember they're trying to back up. They're trying to get away from you because most of the time you're going to have blue health. You're going to have 1100 health. You're stalking them down, which is what you're going to do. You're going to keep doing the backboards and start doing the melee combos. But they're also trying to get healed, and these walls are blocking their healers. These are the biggest part of Groot's kit. Like, you're placing these walls to protect you at times, to cut off sight lines at times, but more so to deal a ton of damage. Like, you think of them almost like little turrets. Seriously, you're placing little turrets. Like, if you know they can only come out of one direction, you place one of these walls on the back wall. They look at this, don't think anything about it, but you're setting up traps. And with this wall there, as long as you're at 20 meters, you don't have to be looking there. If you're an ally and you deal damage to an enemy that's walking by that wall, it does 60. And you're going to see these walls in the gameplay. They're not protecting me. They're not protecting anybody. They're offensive. And again, same deal, even from far away, you can use them as a backboard for your spore bomb because it's going to splash them. It's got a 5-meter radius too. If one hits one, that means the wall's hitting them. It's huge quick damage. Let's talk about some other things. Maybe you're on offense. You're going up to a zone, to a payload start. You're just cutting off lines of sight from the enemy team. You're getting closer. Your team's getting closer. We're not playing the Hawkeye game. We're not playing any of that. We're just getting close. And when you are, you start doing the things that we talked about because 9 out of 10 times, they want to back up. And when they do that, you're sending them right into the wall. And then you have your spore bomb. You have all your things. You get the walls every 6 seconds. Max of 3 on the field. So you can do a couple things in the middle and then you use one to block off the sight line. But then we get into brawling. Like, what do you do about tanks and hills? Again, the walls are essential. Maybe straight up, you're brawling a Strange or a Thor. You're duking it out. You're going to start as you always do. You're going to try to get a wall behind them and spore bomb it. Start doing your primary attacks. And then you start doing this little melee dance. The Strange is jumping up and down with their shield. They're throwing their melee whips. You guys are doing your thing. But what you want to be doing is you have that first wall up. He doesn't care about it. It's not going down. You see in the gameplay when we were on these hills, I just have multiple walls up in different spots. But what you need to try to do is create little death traps. As you're brawling, you're trying to set up other walls that are close to the one that you placed earlier. They're 5 meters away from one another. And you're going to try to pull them into that little choke point. And now when you hit a primary attack, it's dealing 120 damage because you have 2 walls on them. Your primary 70, so One hit deals 190 damage. That's what you want to try to be doing. Like, you're playing a little game. You're dictating the entire fight. You're trying to close them in between your walls and deal double and even triple damage. That's what's so cool about Groot. You can dictate a lot of the fights. All of them, really. Unless they really start focusing down your walls, which not too many do. And even if they do, they're always going to have to deal with them because you're always throwing them. In these frantic hill battles, I'm setting up or trying to set up little mazes with the main goal of an enemy getting hit by 2 of them at one time instead of 1. Because when you do that, you start melting people. And if a squishy gets in there, it's over for them. And this whole time, your little Ironwood wall's in a safe area, you're getting health from it. And hopefully somebody's also healing you. And that brings us to the ultimate, Strangling Prison. This is another thing that you need to approach, use, think about differently. Fire a massive vine cluster that pulls nearby enemies to its center, and it imprisons them. So it's got an 8-meter pull radius. Think of it like Winter Soldier's hook. It grabs them, pulls them to the center point. It imprisons them for 3.5 seconds. So the projectile deals 10 damage, whatever. The spell field deals 70, and then they're locked in, they're imprisoned. It deals 20 damage every 0.5 seconds. The tick damage is 150 over time, and the enemies can still use their abilities. Maybe a Jeffson there, or a Luna Snow. They're healing through it. So on paper, it looks good. You have the 150 from the ticks, the 70 damage from the spell. But if you've used it or seen it, that's what you see. People pop it, maybe a combo. It's a great combo ult, by the way. Like, if you want to team up with an Iron Man, you trap them, they throw the pulse charge. It's beautiful. But as I said earlier, the most important part of Groot's kit are these Thornlash walls. Anytime an enemy is close to them, it deals 60 damage. So for Groot, his ult, it's the same opening you've always done. You're going to throw a wall behind them, and what you want to do is ult that wall, like ult the actual wall. Because what that does is it pins them to the wall. Now on top of the damage the ult does, you're getting the 60 damage every half second. So it's doing an extra 200 or so damage. And the full combo is you're just adding in the ult. So what you really want to do is throw a wall behind them, ult the wall, spore bomb the wall. That is huge chunk damage. They're trapped for 3.5 seconds, so you get in there and start punching them using your primary, using your melee. That's how you use his ult. You can get tanks with this. Squishies, doesn't matter. This is the most damage you can do. You have to include that wall, because it's the ult damage, the spore damage, the wall damage. You have your primary and your other allies for 3 seconds. They're in the pain chamber. This is how you use it. Maybe you get fancy, throw a double wall, pull them up to the second tier. You do you, not necessary. And when you put it all together, you have a tank here with very high health, and it could deal massive damage. You're moving spot to spot, blocking lines of sight. You're setting up your healing wall in safe areas. You're setting up traps. You're setting up little mazes. If you see, let's say, a Luna Snow, a Loki, a Mantis, kind of out of the way, you can do your combo. Throw a wall behind, throw a spore bomb, start primarying them. You can get them pretty easily. He's great, but he definitely has weaknesses. Like, he's slow. He's very slow. And you're relying on your decisions and honestly your healers. And that's what it comes down to a lot in this game. Like, you can solo tank with him for sure. But with things like this and some other heroes, like, you're only as good as your supporting cast in some instances, because you just go in there, you're going to get melted down, and like, you're throwing at that point. So you can do the role of being a tank, do it very well, but if you have no support, literally and figuratively, it's just not going to work. But that's with anything in this game. Ideally, you're going to have somebody pocketing you. And when you do, when you have 1100 health, or even the 950, Groot's tough to deal with, and he can dish out a ton of damage, especially if you play to him. And I've talked about throughout this guide, you're making people play to you. Like, you're dictating a lot of the stuff. You're making people go around or forcing people into certain areas. Wolverine's a menace. Iron Man, of course there's weaknesses to Groot, as everything should have some weaknesses, but all those things, hopefully you have support on your team to deal with them. Maybe a hello for the Iron Man, whatever it is. And you actually do really good against DPS characters if your walls are involved. Your walls have to be involved. But some tanks, like take Strange or Thor mainly, they're long drawn out battles. They really are. But for you to succeed in them, like in a true 1v1 if need be, it is highly dependent on you catching them with your walls, dealing the double damage and sometimes triple damage. And as you play more, you're going to see what you're comfortable with. I love Groot, and I think that this guide gave an insight as to why I love him so much with the things you can do. As for you, maybe you were following along as you're watching in the practice range. You're seeing some of the things and some of the damage he can deal. Give him a shot. Try the combinations. And give it more than one game. All these heroes take time to get comfortable with. You're going to see your personal do's and don'ts, what the limitations are for the character, what the limitations are for you, what the strengths are both ways, and then you graduate to being more comfortable, and then you graduate to some mastery. Groot is very strong. I'd say most games I'm out damaging DPS, and definitely most damage blocked. 20, 30, 40k damage blocked, getting 10 to 15, 20k damage. He's one of the best tanks in the game. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. And in my Destiny family, I'm not done there. I just truly love this game, Marvel Rivals, enough for me to actually make content for it, and even if it's only a couple videos on Marvel Rivals, there are a couple things like this guide I do want to contribute to the Rivals community. I plan on making a controller guide, because the base settings are whack. We're going to fix that. But I do have a ton of stuff like this for other heroes. It's all about the reception. If you guys like it, I'm going to continue it, or maybe I'll just sprinkle in every now and again hero guides. I don't know. I've never really done anything like this before, but it was very fun. Let me know what you think. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.